Our X-Files. Welcome to our X-Files vault. Regular people talking about unexplained phenomena. UFOs. Ghosts. Cryptids. Hidden archaeology. Weird science. Our stories. Our takes. Our X-Files vault.
Okay, hey everybody, welcome to our X Vault. I think this is an episode of Beyond Reality with Brian and Curtis, although Curtis has now left us. So, hey Brian. And
hey.
Special guest Izabeyah.
Hi.
And tonight's topic, we have a documentary planned called Invasion. What would an alien invasion be like? And we're assuming that for this documentary that an invasion is a hostile thing or a bad thing. It's not. I know there are people that will take the opposite point of view, that aliens are good, but just for the sake of this documentary, we're going to assume that they're doing something that's not so good. And tonight is not the documentary, but we're just going to discuss some of the issues with it and hopefully generate some clips that will be in the documentary, but we'll definitely post this as an episode. So in the documentary, we've kind of broken it down by category.
Mm-hmm.
And let me see if I had some notes on this somewhere. Well, I don't have them, but I can remember. So one type of alien invasion, I think the most basic type that we're all used to seeing, is conquest. So like what we saw in Independence Day or War of the Worlds, where the aliens come in and they either want to take us over and enslave us, or they just want to exterminate us and take the planet. I'm not sure. There's probably other movies like that. Those are the big two that come to mind to me. So let's go to Brian first. I guess the first question would be, do you think we'd fight back? Do you think we'd be able to fight back?
Absolutely. I mean, we were discussing before we started rolling, but like you said, it wasn't so long ago till we figured out how to split the atom. And we all know how that played out. I mean, we could definitely defend ourselves, probably to the point where we annihilate ourselves, but, we would defend ourselves. And the idea of it for being a hostile invasion, I mean, if you look at cultures just on planet Earth, how many times another culture tried to take over, and it goes pretty good for them for a while, but eventually it just falls apart. Because I think when you're in a hostile culture, it's going to eventually crumble under itself. Because someone's always going to want the power. And, if you figure someone's a hostile invader, you probably have a ruling class, is by fear, not respect. So I think I don't know, for them to get all the way over here to start a fight, they would have to have done that once before. And I don't know, first they have to find us. Like we're a little speck on a spinning wheel.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think they would. If they did, to answer your question. Yeah, we absolutely would, I think, defend ourselves.
Do you think aliens?
We're an uppity species. You know what I mean?
Do you think that aliens would have an interest in wanting to conquer us and rule us, or do you think they would just want to exterminate us so they could take the planet or take the resources that they wanted? Is there any scenario where they would actually want to rule us?
If we were food and maybe they needed to keep us alive, I think anyone that would come to this planet in a hostile nature would be specifically for the resources, like water. I mean, because we don't know how many planets can hold water, and water equals life. and we have trees and minerals and things they could use. But if we fought back, I don't think they would try to keep us around because they realize, it would be too hard.
Izabeyah, I got a specific question. Did you see the movie Independence Day?
It was a long time ago. I don't remember it a whole lot, but I did see it.
There's one scene. So it's maybe a day after the aliens have arrived. Their big motherships have come in, and they've taken strategic spots over most of the cities, over the White House. And I think there's one that's over a big building in Los Angeles. And thousands of people in Los Angeles have gathered at this building, or many of them have climbed up to the roof, and they're kind of like looking up as though something wonderful is about to happen. And then the machine, the spaceship opens up, and they think this is it. This is the big thing, almost like a religious experience. And then boom, the giant laser weapon or whatever destroys the building and the city. Would you be one of those people that was running for your life when you saw the ships come? Or would you be one of those people running towards the ships thinking something wonderful was about to happen?
I would be the person thinking I was the one controlling the ship. No, I don't know. No, see, that's my theory. Like, I don't believe actually that aliens, for me, like when I picture an alien, I picture of one being as where humans are more social. So like if humans were to fight back, it would be more like saving yourself and those around you. But I just can only think of an alien as being like an independent creature and not social.
So when you see, if the ships show up tomorrow, do you tend to think is your first reaction that this is good news or this is bad news?
I don't, see, I totally do feel like I'm in control of, that's my only answer for you, is that I was in control, because I believe I'm in my own universe and that I'm in control of everything. So I don't.
So you'd stay in your house and just keep your regular routine, and you wouldn't really change your.
Yeah, and I would actually believe it has something to do with me. So it would actually be a good thing, like, to put it straight out to you, because it is my world, and I don't believe, like, I feel like almost invincible. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't feel not really, because I don't feel very invincible myself. So I understand the concept, but I definitely don't understand the feeling. I feel like I've had.
Yeah. I like the idea that not so much being a collection of aliens, but just one. So we went from an army coming to maybe just, Galactus.
I just, like with the male and the female, but as far as my own ideas, because I've had a lot of enemies, like a few people that feel like enemies to me, and I don't know why. I don't know why I feel like that, but I don't really agree with the whole godly view, because I'm just very weird. I'm very weird. I'm sorry. I don't want to continue because I don't want to like get too weird on
That's
you
okay.
guys, but
that's okay. Are you leaving us, or you want to just move on to another subject, another question?
No, I mean, I'll continue. I don't want to like keep talking right now because.
Okay, that's all right.
Well, I don't want to get into a whole different another subject about males and females and where humans came from and evolution, or
Right.
whether creation or evolution. So because my mom is Filipino and they speak Tagalog, I already feel like that when I'm watching the Filipino network at her house, I'm like, something is taking me back to pre-human existence before they learned English, like where they're almost monkeys. And I don't know why, like, that's just what I'm already thinking, because I already feel like I have like an enemy force. And I kind of feel like everybody has, as an individual, has that enemy force. And you can use that to your advantage or whatnot.
So Brian, when you same question to you, I guess, when you see the ships, if you wake up tomorrow morning and the giant ships are pulling up over the cities, are you thinking this is good news or bad news?
I would probably feel the same exact way the way I watch a lightning storm. Like, I have to see this, but I don't want to be directly under it.
Yeah. But does it stop your life? You're like, okay, I'm not going to work today or whatever I had planned. I want to know what is going on.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The world changed. That's history. It's either going to be a cataclysmic event or some sort of, like, awakening or something. In some way, it's going to change us.
You're kind of 50-50 about this could be good or bad. You're not really leaning one way or the other.
Yeah, I'm cautious. I mean, I would love for E.T. to come out and we'd hang out and eat Reese's Pieces together. That'd be great. But, I don't want V coming over and ripping off their faces and eating me. I'd be very I would be enthralled. But
and it does seem like it's one thing if one spaceship shows up and lands on the White House lawn and someone gets out and says, "Take me to your leader." That's one thing. But if a giant craft shows up and hovers over every major city in the world, that's not a very friendly gesture.
That sounds strategic.
Yeah,
I don't like the way that sounds. Yeah,
that does seem like it, but yet there were thousands of people, and I thought it was accurate in that movie, that scene where there were so many people that were just waiting for this hallelujah moment.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
I thought that was pretty cool.
That's the same thing with this movie on this movie with the volcano. I can't remember the actors' names, but I think it was called Volcano. But like whenever the volcano was erupting, they had the woman looking at the volcano like in complete awe and like a wow when the volcano was erupting. I mean, they're about to die, and I just think that's natural when you see forces like that are greater than you. It's normal, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of people would be kind of frozen, just like, oh my God, you don't know what to think, Yeah,
but a volcano isn't unknown. Like, if I was near a volcano, I'd be like, I know how this is going to play out. I don't want to be here when it does. I'll watch it on the news.
But a lot of people don't. I remember, like, for instance, the first tsunami, the big one of this modern era, was that Asian tsunami, and there was a lot of footage of British tourists on the beach there, and the water would all go out, and the fish were flopping on the ocean floor, and most of these people were just walking out, like, oh, what's going on? It's so cool. And there was one 12-year-old boy that was screaming, "Tsunami, get out of here!" That would have been me when I was 12, because I did know what a tsunami was, and I had read enough, the geeky enough kid to know, but no one knew. I mean, none of the adults knew on the beach what was going on, and they just were walking out towards it, and a lot of them died because of that,
Yeah, that's really unfortunate, just to be unaware of how some natural things work.
Yeah.
Just when in doubt, watch what the animals do. If you see animals running away, follow.
And the locals knew. The locals there knew to get away. They were like this. They didn't necessarily maybe know what a tsunami was, although I think a lot of them did from living in on the Ring of Fire. But they knew something was not normal. Go away, get away. It's not normal. Get away from the ocean. Something unnormal is going on there. And they were worried about the tourists, because they knew all the British and the Americans, whoever, mostly I think British, were still on the beach. And so I think there could be something similar if aliens show up, where some people are just kind of frozen and you got to pull them away, like, no, let's head for the hills.
I'd be in awe.
Yeah.
I'd be like waiting, like, what are you gonna do? Please be cool, But if they were just hovering all over the cities, I would pack like, an emergency bag and then get out of like the populated areas. Probably, because if they're all, it's not like you said, if they're all positioned it sounds like a strategic move.
Yeah.
And especially, you know, how long do they wait to contact us? If they're just hanging out, if they can get here, you know, why aren't they ringing the bell? You know, why aren't they knocking on the door? I don't want to, you know, wait too long for that.
So the next type of invasion that we want to explore is what I call hidden agenda, and that I think it was Izabeyah was just maybe referring to something similar to that, where they kind of come in and take human form so they can kind of blend in. There's different ways of looking at that. I think the X-Files kind of took that approach of the aliens were aligned with the government, but the aliens actually had a secret agenda that was hidden from the government, a not good agenda. So do you, I mean, there's different, there's other ways of looking at that. You know, are they inbreeding or doing genetic manipulation, or are they pulling the strings on society in order to try to lead to a certain result, you know? So I guess a question might be this: in the X-Files, the aliens were aligned with at least a faction in the United States government. Do you think what faction, if the aliens had to align with one particular authority on Earth, where do you think that would be? It could be a certain country, it could be the UN, it could be a certain group, Catholic Church, or, I mean, where do you think they might form their alliance? Considering they had a bad, you know, they had some kind of a hidden agenda.
I think are you asking me?
Yeah, go ahead. Yep, sure.
Okay. I would think it would be with someone who is not so like blended in well with like a culture, or like normal, like it wouldn't be a normal person that they would build an alliance with. But I mean, like, for example, if people were to say God came to Earth, which they did say that, they said he was Jesus, I would automatically say for God to be on Earth, if somebody put him there, which supposedly it was God himself, but he would have to be a mixed race and not like from one race, like Spanish or Chinese or white.
That makes sense.
And that's if the alien was someone that was visible to us. But you know, I don't know if we ever saw, like, for instance, in the X-Files, we never saw any of the aliens. It was more that smoking man character that was kind of somehow working for them, right? I don't know if you guys watched the show.
Yeah.
Something like that. But so they were kind of a power behind a certain faction within the government. You know, so with the aliens, what do you think, Brian? Would they want to align with a certain agency within the U.S. government, like the CIA, or the Department of Energy, or the government itself, or the Chinese?
I think it would depend on their intentions.
Something bad.
You know? Yeah, if it was, you know, a hostile invasion, I would imagine that they would align themselves with a country that's kind of warmongering. You know, easy, be like, hey, we're here. You want to take over the planet? Go start a war. We'll give you these weapons. We'll be behind you. We'll you know, something like that. But as far as like the X-Files, as awesome as that show was, it just seems a little weird to give like these aliens such a human personality, to be so covert and, you know, work sneakily into the shadows. You know what I mean?
Did they ever show in that show how the aliens communicated with the government or the human fact? I don't remember ever seeing that, or did they?
There was the movie where there was something with the bees, and then there was some sort of like tiny little like black worms, I think, that would get inside you. And then eventually they did show an alien. It was pissed off, mean looking.
Yeah, I vaguely remember.
but I don't know if that was a hybrid of their species and us. You know,
what was their agenda in that? I don't remember. Were they doing an interbreeding kind of thing, or?
I think it was. I guess it. I don't remember. I guess ultimately it was. You know, my perception of it. I don't know if this is actually X-Files' idea, but like, they wanted to live here, but they didn't want to just take over. So they like intermarried us. You know, they spliced our genes to create, I guess, a new type of alien or something. But I could be way off. But that's what's fun about science fiction. You can think anything you want.
Yeah. I believe the Earth is a fun house. I have a lot of fun. Like, I totally believe the stars are just mirror images from the core of the Earth, and that each star is like, could be a person or whatever. I don't know, but that's what I believe.
I did an interview last week, a week and a half ago, with Jay from New York, and I had found out the night before, and he's been good about, you know, communicating with me for a couple months, but what I didn't know until the night before was that he actually practices magic. So in the show, if you have a chance to watch the episode, he goes into a lot of details about what his belief system is. And it's really just kind of for him, a spiritual system to kind of help make him feel whole and has life feel kind of organized and have some structure to it. But it is kind of interesting that he was planning a future show. He was talking about this guy, Dr. David Jacobs, who I didn't really know anything about, but I researched it when he mentioned him. So Dr. David Jacobs is one of these psychologists from whatever college who has been studying people who have claimed to be abducted and doing hypnosis therapy. And from his years of studying it, he's concluded that the alien agenda is malicious and that they are interbreeding with us and using a kind of infiltration for that, where they take people up, they breed with them, they create kind of a hybrid, so it's something that's part human but has a little bit of alien, and then they insert them back into society. And so they're insidiously trying to, and eventually once they've got enough people within key positions in society, then they'll take us over. That's his idea on it.
Well, that would explain a lot of politicians.
Yeah, exactly. So, Izabeyah, does that sound a little too evil for you?
I mean, it does sound evil, and I do understand the evil though, because I feel like I've experienced like a type of, I don't know if you would say an alien, but some type of being that can literally like maneuver and do things without eyesight or a body. It's just like, you know how, like, have you heard that story, like any stories about when somebody's blind, their other senses get heightened? Like, I feel like I've experienced an intelligent creature that doesn't have like arms or eyes, but they can literally talk to me with words because they have I feel like we have this capability as humans to have the same kind of capability that this intelligent being would have. So until you experience it, I don't know if you could completely understand, but I get harassed by this creature, and it's really weird because he can cause people around me, like, I kind of understand what you're saying with them inserting people into society, because there's people around me that do things that are just, I know how deliberate they are.
Well, perhaps that kind of creature actually also might come out. The next segment on this was interdimensional. So you know, shadow people, or I suppose demons could be considered interdimensional aliens. So do you think something like that is from another dimension, and that's why his body is not fully here? Or
see, to be honest with you, to be 100% clear with what I believe it is is that they are actual human beings Like, I don't believe they're literally greater than me, but I do believe that they are actual human beings.
Are they in
that
another
were-
dimension, or is it their spirit that's lingered here?
It's like their spirit. It's like, this is what I truly believe, is that they're off somewhere in wherever in time they are, but they've been on the earth or are going to be on the earth, and they sleep at night. And when they are in my head, they are literally in a dream sleeping.
So are they connecting you not necessarily on purpose? Their dreams are just kind of carrying them to you? Just
Yeah,
in the way,
and I
the way
also
that you might be carried to them too?
Yeah, and I also believe it's possible that they could know who I am, or they may not. But, like, for example, Caesar's wife had a dream about Jesus and told him not to kill Jesus or have him put to death. So I just thought of this like 2 weeks ago. I'm not like trying to copy the Bible or anything like that, but it was just ironic because that's kind of like how I feel sometimes with the people around me, even though the people directly around me don't know who I am. I mean, I'm a stranger to them, but I just feel like these people could know who I am at some point in time, and it could work out that way, just like they could have a dream. I feel like the people, like if we experience voices, these are people sleeping at night and stuff like that.
It's kind of I wonder if that's similar to the Australian Aborigines who believe in the dream world. Have you heard of that, Brian?
Yeah, I was gonna say that maybe it's like some sort of mirror dream dimension, because when we're asleep, we tap into our unconscious. So maybe when we're awake, we're actually the dream of another being, and when we're sleeping, it's their world. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And sometimes we cross over. That's wild.
Yeah, and I feel like they have certain places of authority and time where they are the strongest, and if you touch that territory in any kind of way that they don't want you to, they will wake up and at some point in time and like fight you on that.
I do think it's I think it's an interesting idea that if there is something going on in terms of alien visitations, and this could even also relate to ghosts or other phenomena, where it could involve some kind of beings that are not fully conscious of being here, like you say, in a way that we might not be fully conscious of our minds or our possible traveling into some places like that. And that would explain some of the weird nature of the encounters, or even some of the more playful and weird encounters or trickster encounters or those kind of things that traditionally been talked about, even in terms of fairies and creatures like that. It does make you wonder about the strangeness of conscious minds and how they can connect to things that may exist on another level of reality that is connected to our own. It's not like we have our dimension and they have their dimension, and we have a normal life in ours and they have a normal life in theirs, and every once in a while there's a connection. I think the connection between, if there is another kind of reality, I think the connection between that and us, and certainly between that and our minds, is much more intricate, and maybe too hard for us to understand. But
well, our reality is based on what our five senses can perceive. I mean, and our brain can do so much more. So maybe when it's at rest, it's open up. Subconscious is able to perceive things on a level that we can't see or touch or feel, but maybe we do in our dreams, or we'll cross over at some points when we are awake. That's why people meditate. And that's maybe when some people are on drugs, they say they see some crazy things.
Yeah, especially DMT. So supposedly it's called the spirit molecule, but the idea is that people on DMT can communicate with elf-like beings from another world. I think they've been called machine elves or something like that. They're somehow working the machinery of reality or something. I don't know, some kind of weird stuff.
Boy.
Yeah. But it's been talked about by some fairly famous people who've studied these kind of things, Again, I'm not advocating it. I'm just
sure. I get it. Very curious now.
I mean, for me, I think I mentioned this on your first show, Brian. I was totally a nuts and bolts, evidence-based kind of person, and I still basically am. But when I started reading about quantum physics in the 90s, it really all of a sudden was like, wait a minute, we're not in Kansas anymore. No offense, not in Wichita either. but I mean, it was they did these experiments in the 1920s and they still can't explain them. And just to sum up the basic experiment, the double slit experiment, where they shoot photons through the slit, and you don't know which slit it's going to go through, and then it leaves an impression on a screen in the back. And so you put a stream of these through, and the impression in the back showed that they created an interference pattern. So that showed that photons of light actually were a wave. They were not particles, they were a wave because they had that interference pattern. But then when they put a detector on the slit to observe which particular slit each photon went through, it had the effect of making the interference pattern disappear. So once they were observed, they no longer acted like a wave, they acted like a particle. And so what the smartest people in the world at the time, and for the 30s and 40s, the smartest physicists, people that developed this theory, most of them were German or in Europe, they basically concluded that the observer is essential to reality. Reality can't exist without the observer. And no one has come up with a better explanation than that. Modern scientists, most physicists kind of reject it, but the only other alternative was that each time that photon goes through, if each time it goes through and we observe it, the result is it splits into two different universes, one in which we saw it go through the slit and one in which we didn't. And so the universe is constantly splitting, in an infinite splitting that goes on at every single point of existence. And each split creates an alternate reality. So there's just an infinite number of alternate realities. There's a reality when you just fell off your chair. That's another reality that exists.
Right.
And so they'd rather believe, because they don't want to believe in the woo of the idea of that seems magical, that the mind influences reality. That is so objectionable to modern scientists. They prefer to believe in this infinite reality, these infinite worlds, which can never be proved or is unlikely to ever be proved. There's no evidence for it. But to them, they find that that's how, they don't like having to believe in that, but if they didn't believe in that, they would have to accept that somehow the observer is essential. So, which means even at the Big Bang, if there's no observer, did it happen?
Like if a tree falls in the woods, doesn't make a sound.
Exactly.
And then based on that principle, if you're there in the forest observing the tree falling down and it makes a sound, you hear it. But if I'm not there, it doesn't.
Yep.
And you don't even exist.
Right.
I wasn't there to observe you.
Yep.
Observing this thing. And that's what you mean. Or now someone observing me, observing you, observing something else.
Yep. And it even kind of reminds me a little bit what Izabeyah was saying at the start of the show, which is, her kind of belief that the whole world is really connected to her. But in a way, it's kind of true from every one of our perspective, that we don't really know that there's anything else outside of our own head. And so it does make you wonder, like, are you, Brian, creating this reality that's all around you and none of us are real? It's disturbing, but
it can be disturbing because with my idea with God, I've heard that. I experience not. I don't want. I feel bad bringing it up because I don't know what color eyes you have. They look a little bit blue.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so I have a lot of experiences with people with blue eyes. Every time I watch a movie, the main characters always have blue eyes. Like almost every person in the movie has blue eyes, almost all the main characters. And that's something that I have come to find as far as like this being my own reality and nobody else's. And I noticed Brian has, I think your eyes are brown, but
They're blue.
oh, they're blue.
It's happening again to you. Yeah.
So
None of us are real. Oh, the fake people all have blue eyes.
Right.
Well, Izabeyah,
I really believe, like with the blue eyes, it's just, I don't want to offend anyone, honestly, but I feel like you have to be a newborn baby to have blue eyes. And I just feel like literally, in order, if you have blue eyes, you are literally in a newborn baby state. Like, and as far as a youth level, not like you're not mature, but that's something that happens to me that kind of got caught up in my mind because my dad's grandchildren, they all have, from his first wife, they all have like blue eyes and like almost blonde hair. And my middle boy is the only one who looks fully Caucasian, and he had hazel eyes. He has hazel eyes right now and like goldish blonde hair, but just that's sorry. I don't want to offend anyone. I apologize.
You're not at all.
No.
Not at all.
I don't mind. I don't mind being a babe in the woods.
My baby, get in my belly. Sorry.
I think maybe were you saying like people that have brown eyes are like old souls? Their souls have been around longer, and people that
possibly, yeah.
Interesting. Very interesting. What? Oh, I just got a message from Samuel apologizing for not being here. But so why don't we move on to the very last section of this? And to me, if there is an alien invasion, or if there has been one, they're already here. They're very small, and they exist within the brains of 40% of the global population. It's called Toxoplasma gondii. Have you guys heard of it?
Sounds familiar.
No, I haven't heard of it.
But
it's a parasite.
Okay,
here we go. It's absolutely the most interesting parasite. Well, there's a lot of interesting parasites. There's parasites that create zombie ants and cause them to climb up to trees and die there so that the spores can fall down and infect other ants. Toxoplasma gondii needs to, for the key stage of its life, let's call it the birth stage, although that's not really quite accurate, but it needs to be inside the stomach of a cat. Only cats. But what happens is, so in order to spread to other cats, it comes out in the droppings of the cat. And then other animals, particularly mice, will eat the grain that is contaminated by this. So eventually the spores or whatever will make its way through what the mice eats into the mouse. But in the mouse, it does something very different than what it does inside the cat. In the mouse, it makes its way up to the mouse's brain. And then it forms little cysts inside the brain there. And then it is able to change the behavior of the mouse so that the mouse now becomes no longer afraid of its deadly enemy, cats. In some cases, the mouse is even drawn to cats. But at the very least, it no longer has fear, and it's more bold. So instead of a mouse doing what it should be doing, which is hiding from cats, it now goes over and hangs out in front of a cat. And the cat does what you would expect a cat to do. It eats the mouse. And now the cycle has come full. So the spores make their way back into the cat, and then eventually in the stomach, they start their life cycle again. Now, it's not just mice that are, it's apparently 40% of the human population has these spores in their brains from Toxoplasma gondii. And they do affect human behavior. They've studied it a lot, but there's still a lot is unsure. But for one thing, it makes, I believe the study, it can do certain things, like it can make people more likely to suffer from schizophrenia and things like that. But the big effects is it makes people more aggressive, more risk averse. Strangely, it makes men less intelligent and women more intelligent. It has a lot of strange little effects. And so you look at something like that and say, could that have changed? If that picture, we're early humans in Africa, right? And we're making tools, and we've been living like that for a couple 100,000 years. We haven't formed cities or anything like that. And then all of a sudden something changes where humans become the modern human, and they go out and settle the world and build cities and build a civilization. And by the way, inside that civilization, one animal that seems to thrive is cats. Yeah. But so, did this parasite somehow drive human behavior by making it more aggressive, or less risk averse, or more risk averse? Did it change our behavior in some fundamental way that actually led to the rise of human civilization? So to me, that's an alien.
Yeah,
if it could do that.
Could be an alien, definitely.
I don't know. Are you guys, are you worried now that you might have toxoplasma in your brain?
Well, once you said that it makes men less intelligent and women smarter, then they must have been around for a while.
I don't know. I kind of missed one of the points when you were describing what it did to the mouse and the cat. So I missed that. So I kind of got lost a little bit there.
Mice are, are prey of the cats. So the mice have evolved to be afraid of cats, to hide from cats, if a mouse even smells, So even if a mouse smells like a cat in the vicinity, they stay away from that area. But once they're infected by this, they lose all that, and now they're drawn to the cats, and the cats eat them, which is that's the toxoplasma affecting the behavior somehow of the mouse. And so the question is that same thing affecting our minds in a way?
I do think there's something like that can happen. So
I mean, do you think that
study to Vegas, Kevin?
What's that?
You should take this study to Vegas. You probably find a lot of people infected there.
A lot of my friends are cat owners, and I tell them this, and it's one of the guys I was telling the other day is like, well, my wife is smarter.
Don't they say to keep cats away from newborn babies? You're not supposed to have the cats around babies.
Yeah, and I don't know if that might be the reason, but I'm not sure. It's I guess it is, and and the infection does go through litter boxes and that kind of contact, because it comes out in the cat feces. Yeah. But it's an interesting relationship, because they've found that wild cats, in Africa, like lions and tigers and that kind of stuff, they do eat very heavily on monkey populations. So you can picture a time, say several 100,000 years ago, when maybe Toxoplasma gondii drove monkeys to be more likely to, be not afraid and go get eaten by the cats. But maybe then at the same time, humans also evolved how to fight back, by packing together into groups and using weapons. And I don't know, it's just curious to me, like if I was an alien and I wanted to manipulate a population into doing something,
Right.
that might be a way to do it, right?
That makes more sense than the trench coat wearing alien in the shadows, smoking a cigarette, telling people what to do,
Yeah.
That definitely makes more sense. I did know about the ants, that they get infected. Like, actually, the fungus will grow out of their brains,
Yeah, I've seen that.
grow
Yeah.
out of their skull or something. And they'll climb up to the highest tip of a plant,
Yeah.
in order to be eaten. Yeah, and then it comes out into the feces of, I think, whatever animal, the cow maybe, that's eating the grass, that's eating the plant, the infected ant that's on the grass, and it starts all over again.
Yeah, I think with those is that's an even weirder one. Like, they're also, because I wrote a story on that too, but they climb up to the highest point and they lock onto the leaf up there with their jaws, and then they lock on until they die. So they may lock on for 24 hours and whatever, then they die. But that's a fungus that's in that, and the fungus continues to grow until it explodes through their brain, like you said, and then it rains up. But the reason the fungus dries them up high is then the fungus spores rain down and spread out and have a greater chance of landing on other ants. So that's how, but there's all kinds of, if you research it, there's all kinds of parasite in the insect world where, parasitic wasps that steal other wasps and use it to raise their young, and
Right.
some of them are more beneficial. Like, you have, what are those little, is it aphids or there's little animals that certain ants take, and you kind of use them as cows, but they don't damage them. They almost treat them like sacred,
Right. The aphids, they're like the little green things.
Yeah, they protect them and they feed them, and they and they give up. They do. I don't know.
I think they secrete something
Yeah.
that they could use to feed their colony.
Yeah.
Do you guys remember that movie with the robotic spiders that were going around checking people's eyes?
Minority Report.
Yeah. So I actually believe in, like, literal spiders that guard, like, somebody's territory, like a godly territory or what somebody would call a holy territory. And I literally believe those things come out and can get into your ears, and they do crawl into your ears, I think.
Are they machines or are they actual spiders?
No, they're actual spiders.
Yeah, there's nothing scares me more than a spider. I don't like them. I don't know. If I see a spider, if it's in anywhere near my room, I'm trying to kill it as fast as I can. But I don't know. I know they're supposed to do good things, but let them do it outside.
Let them do it outside.
So that about wraps it up. Unless anything you guys want to add about the invasion, or what you think about aliens. Maybe you think they're more likely to be good, or.
Well, if they are good, they better hurry up, because I don't think there's a lot of time left for this planet.
Yeah.
We need their help. If they're gonna intervene right now is about a good time.
What do you think, Izabeyah?
I mean, I think it's always going to be good because of the approach that they would have to come to us. So I always feel like that the only option to come would to be good. But yeah, so if they came as one group, one group or one entity, as far as like even a community or whatever you guys want to believe, but I always feel like it's going to be good.
Yeah, an interesting thing too. The question I would have for you is someone who is well, I guess it's really not an issue because you're not worried about aliens, but would you tend to think that if there was an alien invasion on the way or being planned, that there might be that God might protect us?
I feel like we're already protected as far as where we came from, because we came from a mother and a father, so that we always have that opposite of one or the other. So they're not together as one, but they're actually separate entities, your parents. So there's always that one that's protected over the other. And I feel like having a parent is always something that will protect you, and that you never experience death. Everything you experience on earth is physical. And I feel like you don't ever experience death. Literally. Like you're too far gone to ever experience it.
Well, I guess there's only one way we'll know.
So kind of what I'm saying is that there's no need to worry about it. Not that you can't think about it, because you can think about, you can be it or study whatever you want to study and be interested in whatever you want to be interested in. But I just feel like I'm not like a lawmaker. I don't put rules on people. So.
Well, I think the more we worry about death, the closer we get to it.
Well,
yeah, so I would like to help. I would help people not to worry, is what I would do personally.
I don't worry about it too much, but I'm actually not too far from it based on my physical condition, barring a miracle. But for me, the miracle is possible, and scientific miracle, so I still,
do you have health issues? Is that what you're saying?
I have terminal cancer.
Oh.
Yeah, but I've had it for 3
sorry.
years. Well, I've had it for almost 3 years, and so, I've made my peace with it. But it's different. I sleep great at night, but it's also, what happens when that one day comes. I go for scans every 3 months, and you go in and they say, this, it's on the march, and we don't have anything for you, so you've got a month or two left. I'm not anxious about it now, but when that happens, I have the feeling I'll be a lot more anxious, Of
course, yeah.
It'll be a lot harder to sleep because I don't have any reason to believe in an afterlife. I don't rule anything out, but when you get put under anesthesia, you're not aware of anything. And so to me, if there was a soul that was always going to be aware of stuff, your soul would still be aware when you get put to sleep. Your soul would do something or experience something, but when you're put under anesthesia, you don't even dream. You don't experience anything. And to me, that is most likely what death is. But I don't mean that to be depressing, because anything is possible. And, it's possible that 1 trillion years from now, you're some beneficent being that's really, really powerful. The result of future human civilization could, using its ability to see back, bring everybody back. So maybe. And
I would too, beings as I have my own personal goals my life goal is survival, and I feel like that's something I want to do, my whole forever is be a survivor. I don't ever want to rest on that. So, just keep your head up and just try to keep doing what you're doing.